Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about one of my biggest projects yet, a jewelry and watch commercial, and there was two parts of the video. One was a model video and one was a product video that I shot at home. The other one was shot in the studio, but let's watch the videos first and then talk about it later. So as I was saying before, there was a model video which we shot in the studio and the product video which I shot at home. And the model video, the biggest challenge was to find these props that the client wanted, these huge cubes. They were also pink, so it was really hard to find them. So I called up all the prop houses and it didn't have anything. So at one point I tried to build them myself, just paint these cardboard boxes with a pink paint, but it didn't work quite out as well as I thought it would be. So I got the idea that I went to IKEA and I finally found these like doors, these huge doors, and I just kind of taped them together that they kind of look as boxes. It turned out quite well. I'm actually pretty happy how it turned out in the studio. But yeah, it's just sometimes you have to be creative and do the best you can to find these props, because at the beginning I thought, where do I find these things? But at the end it kind of worked out. Because we shot in a bigger studio, I also had to rent some extra gear to light up the place. And my tip for if you rent stuff from rental houses is you always want to make sure that all the stuff is there when you just rent the stuff. So check if they gave you everything. And then when you return it, just make sure everything is there, especially work with other crew. It can be hard sometimes because people misplace stuff and they don't know where something goes and they just put it somewhere and then stuff gets lost and then the rental house charge you for it. So just make sure that everything is there when you wrap up the gear, because then the rental house will charge you extra and you want to avoid that, they charge you extra money. And the second thing I wanted in the studio is moving lights all around. This was kind of the theme of the commercial, that the model plays with moving lights. And for this there was a lot of stuff happening in pre-production, so I tested out a lot of stuff. I actually have a clip of me explaining everything, which I play right now, that will help you understand it a little better. So I'm prepping for the model shoot, and what I have here is the Forza 500 from Nanlite. I'm going to use this as one of the lights in the model shoot, and I also have the projection adjustment here. And what this does, you can really shape the light of how you want it to. Just setting up the Forza 500 with the projection attachment, and it's the perfect light for this shot because we're going to highlight the necklace, and this just creates a stripe of light over the product. And yeah, this is the perfect light for this. So excited for that. Speaking of moving light, I'm also gonna use this because they want lights all over the place. And I tried to experiment with a bunch of different things. I used this mirror ball, and I think this works the best for now. I'm gonna get 1 or 2 or 3, and then just gonna have them rotate in different directions to make the light go all over the place. Not too much because I don't want it too crazy. And this is really important that you have to plan in advance, because now I'm shooting at the studio and I only have it for 10 hours and I want to be as quick as possible with the shots. I'm also going to plan them out. And for the prep work, I'm just experimenting with it in advance, that I don't have to do on the day and decide what works. So this is really important. With product videos, you can get away with it to experiment kind of on the job, because I usually shoot my product videos at home, so I can take a little longer, and then if I have to do the next day, I have to do a reshoot, I can easily do that because I don't have to coordinate with other people. But because this shoot, we have a model, we have a makeup artist, we have all these people involved, I can't really be, oh, let's try this. I have to figure it out in advance, so this is what the prep work is for, and it's really important. And the most important thing is when working with other people, with other crew, is that you kind of treat them well with respect and always be friendly. I had some people that I work with that are really shady to their people that I'm working with, and it's not a good idea to do that because it always comes back to you later. So even if you work with inexperienced people, take the time to explain some things. They will really appreciate it, and then they will come work for you again. And also, one really important point is give them good food, because they really appreciate working with you and they will come back and want to work with you again if you treat them right and feed them well. So a little pro tip, feed your crew right, but I guess you already knew that. The studio day was pretty busy. There was a lot of shots we had to take of the products, and we had two main setups, one with a pink backdrop and then one with a white infinity wall. So we had to be really quick and there was not really a lot of breaks. So we're done with the first setup and now we're gonna move on to the second, and we're just gonna put the pink background on the stand, and then we just have a simple setup. We're gonna have some pedals right here. I'm just gonna throw them up in the air and it's gonna be a nice fun shot, I would say, and then just play around with the light a little bit more. Perfect. I told the model to take a break once in a while because it was really a lot of shots during the day, but there was not really a time to really take a huge break, so it was pretty intense, but we managed to get it all in one day, which is perfect because another studio day raises the cost a lot, so we managed to get it all in one day. In the morning when we started, my car was so full with a lot of gear, but I managed to fit it all in one load. That was good. And then the day was basically a 10-hour day where we had the studio, and at the end I had to return the gear, some gear, to my friend, and at the end I was so tired. But yeah, I'm so happy that we did it all in one day, and it was pretty worth it. I love these studio days, and they can be really fun if you plan out everything, and a lot of that stuff happens in pre-production. This is really important. The challenge with the product videos was to really bring out that color dial. It was like a glare, this pink glare dial, and it was really challenging for the lighting because there were some group shots and all the watches were kind of in a different place. So you had to make sure that all the dials were glaring in that really pink quartz tone. I don't know how to describe it. And then I experimented with it a bit, and I realized that when you shine a light directly at the dial, it really brings out that glare. So I had to make sure that every dial is glaring in the group shots, and it was kind of tricky to do that. In the end, I managed to do it. There's also a little bit of confusion about where to get the right backdrop, because it had to be like a light pink, and I couldn't really find it here in Vancouver. So what I did before, I shot on the background that you see here in the back of me, and it was kind of too pink, so I had to reduce the saturation and the brightness, increase the brightness to make it a little less pink, but that affected the watches and everything. It was kind of too much. So what I ended up doing is getting like a white background, kind of like a white cream background, and then I just added some pink with in post-production. But then also I had to do a lot of like fine touching, retouching, a lot of coloring for the watch dials, because when you change the hue of the background, also the whole picture changes. So I had to really bring out the colors of the watches in post-production, and that was really a lot of work. And then yeah, compared with the lighting I figured out after I took a few test shots, I figured out the lighting. But yeah, a lot of that stuff, a lot of the coloring is done in post-production. I also used this water bottle to really break up the light and make it shine over the watches, because again, the concept was moving light. I used a flashlight to shine through a water bottle, and this created this light. I put it on a Lazy Susan, and that created a moving light around the watches, which looks actually really cool. But simple household measures, like simple household items that can bring you some results in the end. For the lighting, I just used the Forza 500 again, and then I used some Pavo tubes to really shine on the light on the dials. There was like a wristband, there was a shot of the wristband where I placed it on the pedals. I actually used real pedals, which was also a challenge because they go bad. I mean, they last a while, maybe like an hour or two, and then they start to look kind of gross. So you also have to be quick, and also it was Valentine's Day, so a lot of these pedals were sold out. I managed to find some, and then yeah, I just placed these wristband on top of the pedals. And then what you have to do when you really have a reflective material is you want to create like a soft box around it. I actually pushed the table against the wall where there's two white walls on each side, so I had a lot of white already, and then I just put a reflector over, and really made it like a white softbox that everything is reflecting off of the gold material, looks good, and there's no, it looks very clean that way, that when you have like a white all around the product. Remember this, when you shoot reflective products, you want to have the white all around it. That makes it look good. For the product videos, I got a Edelkrone slider, and it actually works quite well with the app. I just programmed in the settings, and then the camera kind of magically, not magically, but it just turns over from left to right, and it kind of pans also because I got the pan head, pan and tilt head. So yeah, I just had it on an angle just to move from left to right and then just like focus on the products, which was really helpful with that video. The only thing is I have a really shitty tripod, and when you put it on a tripod, you really need a good one. My tripod is not good enough to put that slider on a tripod. So I think I have to invest in a better tripod, which is really important, I would have to say. A lot of people, like including myself, they just want to invest in other stuff, but a good tripod is really important for that. So that's it. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. I hope you learned something today. As always, a free and easy way to support the channel is hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, you might consider doing so. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram at sebpiccinema, and I will see you in the next video.